Everyone in the park stared while my fox girlfriend howled into the railings, and I couldn't stop laughing as I freed her. The thing about dating a fox girl is that people expect grace. They expect quiet steps and elegant bows, a predator's poise wrapped in a pretty smile. Nobody expects the love of my life to face plant into a cafe door because she misjudged the push sign. Nobody expects her to get her tail stuck in drawers, or to spill bubble tea directly into her own ears, or to trip over absolutely nothing on a flat sidewalk. And absolutely no one expects her boyfriend to stand there wheezing with laughter while he helps her out of whatever ridiculous predicament she's found. But that's us. That's Nico and Tamsin. On the day everything happened at the park, the sun was warm, the city felt almost kind, and my biggest worry was whether the little fox charm I'd bought her would be too cheesy. I had no idea that by the end of the afternoon, the entire park would know my girlfriend's butt by silhouette. Tamsin was late, which meant she was right on time. I sat on our usual bench near the pond, plastic bag of snacks at my feet, one hand in my hoodie pocket, fingers curled around the small velvet box. Kids squealed at the water's edge. A street musician somewhere behind me tried to wrangle a tune out of an old guitar. The afternoon hummed with that lazy weekend energy that made people hold hands and walk a little slower. My phone buzzed. Tam Tam. I am not late. I am arriving dramatically. I smiled. Right. A moment later, I heard the familiar clack of claws on pavement. Her steps were light, fast, a little uneven, like someone who had meant to walk casually and then remembered she was excited halfway through. Ni-iko! I turned just in time to see a flash of copper hair and russet ears weaving through the crowd. Tamsin bounded toward me, tail swishing so wildly that a jogger had to dodge it with a startled yelp. Sorry, she called over her shoulder, then promptly nearly tripped over a stroller. The fox mother pushing it caught Tamsin by the elbows before she went sprawling. Careful, Kitsune, the woman chided gently. Tamsin's ears flattened. Right, walking, basic life skill. She straightened, then broke into a sheepish grin as she reached me. Hi. I stood, letting my eyes take her in. Gray-fitted t-shirt, dark leggings that hugged her legs, sneakers she'd once sworn were human-proof, before discovering she could still trip over air. Fox ears tilted forward in expectation, copper fur catching the sunlight. Her tail flicked behind her in restless arcs, so vivid it looked painted. Hi yourself, I said, leaning in to kiss her. She rose on her toes, lips soft and familiar, fingers finding the back of my neck. For a second, the noise of the park sank away, and it was just the warmth of her mouth and the faint tickle of fur against my wrist. When we parted, her cheeks were already turning, pink beneath her freckles. She ducked her head, smiling. You brought snacks? I know my audience. I nudged the bag with my foot. Also, I value my life and have learned that hungry fox equals dangerous fox. She gasped dramatically. Are you calling me feral on our date? I'm calling you food-motivated, I said, which is fair considering last week you nearly crawled into a bakery display case. I slipped, she protested. Those tiles were treacherous. You were licking the glass. She swatted my arm, laughing. Her laughter always did this little rolling thing in her chest, like a purr that forgot what it was supposed to be and turned into a giggle instead. Come on, sit, I said, before you injure yourself standing. She flopped onto the bench, tail curling automatically to one side. I joined her and handed over a bag of spicy chips and a bottle of soda. She twisted the cap off with her teeth and took a long sip, ears flattening from the fizz. Ugh, every time, she groaned. You hate soda, I reminded her. I hate that I love it, she said solemnly, then tilted her head back and downed another gulp. So, why the big, meet me at the park at exactly 3, no earlier, no later message? Are we eloping? Did you finally realize I'm too cute not to marry? I realize you're too dramatic not to tease, I said. Also, I brought you something. Her ears perked instantly. Gifts were her weakness, even the stupid ones. Is it edible? She asked. Is it shiny? Is it edible and shiny? Define edible. My heart did a little stupid jump as I pulled the velvet box from my hoodie pocket. Not a ring that would send her into orbit, but something that had still taken me way too long to choose. Her eyes widened. Nico? It's not that, I said quickly, feeling heat creep up my neck. I mean, not yet. Not that I've made a plan, I just... Look, just open it before I choke on my own sentence. She snorted and took the box, claws careful on the soft fabric. When she flipped it open, all the air seemed to pause around us. Inside lay a delicate silver bracelet, thin as moonlight, with a tiny fox charm dangling from it. The charm's tail was inlaid with a small orange stone that glowed when the light hit it. Tamsin's ears lowered, then lifted, wavering in a way that meant her emotions had just done a somersault. You got me jewelry, she said softly. You tolerate jewelry, I corrected. But you like things that jingle when you walk, and, I scratched my cheek, suddenly self-conscious. I just wanted you to have something that said you're mine, in a non-ownership way, in a please don't run into traffic way. I'm explaining this badly. You're explaining that you love me, she said. Yeah, I admitted. That. Her gaze snapped up to mine, and whatever joke had been forming on her lips melted into something gentler. Put it on me, she asked. There it was, that quiet vulnerability she tried so hard to hide behind pratfalls and jokes. I took the bracelet, fingers a little clumsy as I circled her wrist. Her fur was softer on the backs of her hands than it looked, fading into bare skin at her palm. The clasp clicked shut with a satisfying bite. She held her arm up, letting the charm sway. I love it, she said, voice slightly rough. I love you. There are points in a relationship where the world narrows to a single moment, and you can feel the shape of your future settling into place. This was one of those. I kissed her again, slower this time, one hand cupping her cheek, the other resting on the small of her back where her spine met the base of her tail. A kid nearby shouted, "You! They're kissing!" And someone's grandmother clucked disapprovingly. Tamsin broke away, laughing against my mouth. We're corrupting the youth, she whispered. I'm so proud. Just wait until they see you try to walk in a straight line, I murmured. True moral decay. She stuck her tongue out at me, tail swishing. Rude. I am graceful. I raised a brow. You tripped getting out of bed this morning. The floor attacked me. You spilled coffee on your own ears. That mug was structurally unsound. And last night you got your tail stuck in the fridge door. That was sabotage, she said, narrowing her eyes. The fridge is jealous of our love. I laughed, the sound bubbling up before I could stop it. She drank it in, shoulders loosening, that little crease between her brows smoothing out. No matter how many times I told her she didn't have to be graceful, that I adored every clumsy disaster, some part of her still believed she was failing some vulpine standard she'd never signed up for. Tell you what, I said. Today, we let you prove to the world how elegant you can be. She squinted at me. This feels like a trap. It's a date, I said. Same thing. Her grin returned. Fine. I, Tamsin of the formerly trippy Sidewalk clan, accept your challenge. What's the test? I gestured toward the ornamental railing that ran along the edge of the pond, a wrought iron thing with vertical bars and a decorative horizontal bar halfway up, meant to discourage people from leaning too far over. Kids like to weave between the bars and press their faces close to the water. Graceful observation of ducks, I said. No tripping, no falling, no aquatic incidents. You, my dear fox, will approach the railing, lean casually, and look out upon your duck kingdom like the regal creature you are. She placed a hand over her heart. Ducks, my loyal subjects. Exactly. Show them how a real predator surveys her territory. Her tail puffed slightly with delight. She hopped to her feet, nearly knocking over the soda bottle, then caught it mid-wobble with a triumphant flourish. See? Coordination. Beginner's luck, I teased. She strutted toward the railing, hips swaying a little more than strictly necessary, probably aware of my eyes on her. The sun haloed her hair, and her new bracelet flashed with each swing of her arm. People glanced up as she passed. A fox girl was always a sight, but Tamsin had a way of bending attention toward her like gravity. My chest warmed. 2 years ago, she'd been a skittish barista who apologized every time our hands brushed at the counter. Now she walked through a park full of strangers like it was her personal runway. And I like to believe I'd had at least a small part in that transformation. She reached the railing and glanced back at me, mischief flickering in her eyes. Witness my elegance. Witnessing, I called. She slid between 2 bars with practiced ease, just far enough to lean on the horizontal one with her stomach and peer down at the ducks. Her tail flicked cheerfully behind her, just brushing the bars. Look at them, she crooned. They're so fat and round. That one has your face. Which one? The one that looks constantly disappointed. I opened my mouth to fire back, but then her foot slipped. It was such a tiny misjudgment, just a small shuffle on the uneven stone. 1 second she was balanced, the next her toe caught, her weight tipped forward, and gravity remembered she owed it money. "Tamsin!" she squeaked, flailing. Her hips slammed into the railing, and somehow, in the most tragically predictable miracle of physics I'd ever witnessed, she managed to slide further between the bars as she fell. There was a metallic clang, a yelp, and then my fox girlfriend was halfway through the railing, upper body dangling over the pond, legs and tail flailing on the park side. For half a heartbeat, the world froze. Then she tried to back up and didn't move at all. Tamsin froze. Then, slowly, horrified, she twisted her head as far as the bars allowed. "Nico," she whispered. "Nico, I'm stuck." A couple walking their dog stopped mid-step. A kid dropped his ice cream. Somewhere behind me, someone gasped like they were witnessing a dramatic soap opera betrayal. And I, traitor to dignity, destroyer of composure, burst out laughing. I tried to hold it in, truly. I wanted to be comforting, supportive, romantic. But the sight of my beautiful, endlessly clumsy fox girlfriend, wedged between 2 iron bars with her butt in the air and her tail puffed up like an exploding dandelion, ripped a full-body wheeze straight out of me. She groaned. "Nico, don't. Please don't. Oh my God, you're laughing." "I'm trying not to," I choked out, doubling over. "But, sweetheart, how—" "Don't you dare finish that sentence," she snapped, ears burning red. She wiggled, tail swishing furiously. "I'm stuck in public. My hips are wedged, my thighs are wedged, my dignity is wedged." I wiped tears from my eyes, stepped behind her, then placed my hands gently on her waist. Okay. Deep breath, I've got you." She stiffened as the crowd continued to gather, whispering. "Nico?" she hissed. "People are watching." "I know," I said, trying not to laugh again. "That's why I'm helping fast." Fast, she cried. "You spent the first 30 seconds dying." Her indignation was adorable. Her kicking feet, less helpful. "All right, sweetheart. Push backward on 3, I said. 1. No, wait, don't count yet. My shirt's riding up. Pull it down." I tugged the hem of her shirt gently, feeling her shiver with embarrassment. "Okay, now 2. Do not say 3 while my tail is crooked. Nico, straighten my tail." It's straight enough. Straight in my tail. I sighed, carefully guiding the fluffy mass into alignment. She sighed dramatically, as if this were the single worst moment of her life. Okay, she murmured, bracing herself. Now, 3. She pushed. I pulled. Nothing happened. She let out a strangled sound. Why aren't I moving? I think your hips are, I trailed off, deciding it was best not to finish that sentence either. Oh, great. My hips are too big. This is why my aunt always says I inherited the childbearing chassis. I lost it again. Nico! Sorry, I gasped, clinging to the railing for balance. It's just, your aunt calls it that? Really? That woman is built like a goddess and judges everyone. Now please help me before the entire city knows what color underwear I chose today. More people stopped. Phones were dangerously close to appearing. Tamsin whimpered. Hey, I said softly, leaning closer so only she would hear. Look at me. She glanced back, cheeks flaming. You're okay? I told her. I'm here, and we're going to get you out before anyone posts anything online. Promise. Her ears twitched. You're not embarrassed to be seen with me like this? Embarrassed? I scoffed. Tamsin, I love every chaotic centimeter of you. Her tail gave a tiny betrayed wag. But also, I added, I'm absolutely never letting you live this down. She groaned so loudly, a pigeon startled. Can we not do this here? I look like I'm being smuggled into the pond head first. We're doing this here because you are, in fact, stuck here. I gave her hips another experimental tug. She squeaked. Several bystanders gasped again. Oh, gods, she muttered. Everyone thinks we're doing something weird. We are doing something weird, I pointed out. Not that kind of weird, she sputtered, which earned us another round of scandalized murmurs. I leaned closer. Okay, listen, we'll angle you upward a little and… Nico, she interrupted tensely. Someone is filming. I snapped my head up. Sure enough, a teenager was recording. My smile dropped. Hey, no videos, I barked. The kid flinched and lowered their phone, but didn't stop watching. Nobody did. Tamsin whimpered again. Oh gods, I'm going to become a meme. No, I said firmly, though internally I admitted, yes, possibly a very viral one. I slid my hands under her ribs, lifting gently. Okay, sweetheart. Trust me. When have I ever doubted you? She murmured shakily. You doubted me 5 minutes ago when I said you could be elegant. That was before I got devoured by a railing. I grinned. All right, on 3. No counting, just do it. Okay, I lifted. She wriggled, her thighs pressed against the bars, her tail fluffed so violently it smacked me in the face. Something shifted, and then she stopped moving, completely. Nico? She said weakly. Please tell me that was progress. I swallowed. It might have been, or you might be slightly more stuck than before. Her muffled groan was the sound of a soul leaving a body. You know what? She said faintly. Just leave me here. This is my life now. I live between the bars. Feed me snacks through the gaps. I couldn't help smiling as I rested a hand on her back. No chance. I'm getting you out of this. She exhaled shakily. You really love me, huh? Enough to risk public humiliation right alongside you. Enough to stop laughing? She asked hopefully. Not quite that much, I said. She kicked her foot back in indignation and accidentally made things even worse. Oh my gods, she wailed. My boyfriend is laughing. 12 strangers are watching my butt, and I'm wedged so tight I'm practically part of the architecture. I exhaled, steadying myself. All right, I said. Time for plan B. She tensed. There's a plan B? Oh yeah. I slid my hands lower, innocent enough, but very suggestive, and leaned in. But, you're not going to like it. Her ears lifted with dread. Nico, what exactly does Plan B require? And as the crowd leaned in, and her tail fluffed dangerously, she whispered the same question again. Only this time her voice trembled with something that wasn't just embarrassment. Tamsin swallowed hard. Nico, seriously, what does Plan B require? Because your hands are already, very low and I'm in a very compromising angle. Technically, I murmured. You're in the compromising angle. I'm just assisting it. That doesn't make me feel better. I leaned in, lowering my voice. Plan B requires leverage. That sounds like something a villain says before throwing someone off a cliff. No cliffs, I promised. Just physics. Physics betrayed me already. She wasn't wrong. The railing had become her mortal enemy. I adjusted my grip, entirely practical, absolutely necessary, and undeniably the sort of thing that made several bystanders widen their eyes. Okay, I said. I lift from here, you push your shoulders up and back, and we try to wiggle you free. She inhaled deeply. Nico, be honest. Is this going to look like... Her voice lowered to a mortified whisper. Something inappropriate? Yes, I admitted, but only because of the angle you're stuck in. She groaned into the metal. I'm never leaving the house again. I'm going to become a cryptid. Sweetheart, you are way too cute to be a cryptid. A cryptid can be cute. Not this cute. Her tail gave an involuntary little wag, an encouraging one. Even upside down and half wedged into public property, compliments got her every time. Ready? I asked. No. Great. On 3. Nico, I said. But I didn't wait. I shifted my stance, braced my feet, and hoisted upward. Tamsin yelped. Oh my gods, warn me before you do that. You said don't count. I meant don't count dramatically. Well, now I know. She wriggled, twisting her body as best she could. The movement traveled down her spine and straight into her hips, right where my hands were holding her, which was distracting. Okay, I said tightly. Try to arch your back a little. No, less. Less than that. Oh God, not that much. I don't know the appropriate amount of arching, she wailed. Just like you're doing a stretch. This doesn't feel like a stretch. You know what I mean. I really don't. She shimmied again. Several park-goers gasped. Someone muttered, Are they sure this is allowed in public? Tamsin whimpered. Nico, people think we're... Let them think whatever, I murmured. We know the truth. That I'm a disaster? That you're my disaster. Her ears twitched. Romantic, but unhelpful. We tried again. I lifted. She pushed. We both froze. Nothing budged. Then, suddenly, something shifted. Her breath caught. Did I just move? A little, she gasped. Progress. Yep, tiny progress. She wiggled harder. No, wait, careful. Too late. Her sudden twist sent her tail smacking me dangerously close to the face again, and her hips wedged tighter into the railings with a metallic clunk that made everyone wince in unison. Tamsin went dead silent. Nico, she said. Yes. Did I just make it worse? So much worse. She groaned so hard the ducks reacted. One even quacked in sympathy. Okay, she mumbled, defeated. This is it. This is how I die. Face down in a railing with my boyfriend grabbing my butt while strangers judge us. I placed a reassuring hand on her back. You're not dying here. I'm getting you out. You've said that before. And I still mean it. She exhaled shakily, relaxing against the bars. My tail's drooping, she muttered. That's how you know I'm at peak humiliation. Sure enough, her tail, normally alive with constant movement, hung down mournfully, I reached down and gave it a gentle stroke. Hey, don't be embarrassed. How can I not be embarrassed? This is the most mortifying moment of my life. You said that when you set off the fire alarm trying to make toast. That toaster was possessed. And when you slipped in the shower and pulled the curtain down with you. That curtain was flimsy. And when you walked into the grocery store automatic door because it opened too slowly. That door had an attitude. I smirked. See? Pattern. Are you implying something? Yes, I'm implying you're adorable. Her tail perked a little. She turned her head again, cheeks red and eyes pleading. Nico, what if I really can't get out? What if the fire department shows up? What if they bring equipment? What if this becomes a spectacle? It already is, I said honestly. But we're going to beat the fire department by about 10 minutes. You don't know that. I absolutely know that. How? Because if they get here first, they're never letting me forget it either. She groaned again, burying her face in her arms. A group of teenagers passed by. One whispered, Bro, is he, like, helping or helping? Tamsin's tail puffed into a huge, embarrassed poof. Nico, she hissed. Do something before someone live streams this. All right, plan C. She stiffened. C? There's a plan C? How many plans do you have? Enough. I am terrified. You should be. I deadpanned. Plan C is bold, daring, dangerous. Stop making it sound scary. It involves momentum. Momentum? And I cleared my throat. Me picking you up. You're going to what? You heard me. Her ears flattened. I swear, if you drop me into the pond, I won't. If you yeet me. When have I ever yeeted you? That is not comforting. I stepped closer, sliding my arms around her hips in a way that made her entire body go rigid. Nico, she whispered. Why do you have that look on your face? Because, I said, bracing myself, this is either going to work beautifully, or it's going to be the funniest mistake I've ever made. Wait, what? Nico, don't you I lifted. Not a gentle, cautious lift. A committed, full-bodied. My girlfriend is stuck in a railing, and I am reclaiming our dignity by any means necessary. Lift. Tamsin shrieked. Nico! Her legs flailed, her tail exploded into maximum floof, and the crowd collectively inhaled like they were watching a stuntman about to miss the landing. Tamsin, relax, I grunted. You're heavy when you panic. I'm sorry my anxiety has mass. Just hold still. I can't hold still. I'm upside down and my butt is public property right now. I adjusted my stance, getting a better grip beneath her hips. The bracing, ironically, made everything look way more inappropriate from the outside. Several people gasped. One old man muttered, "Youth these days," before shuffling away, horrified. It's fine, I called to the onlookers. We're dating. I swear this is wholesome. It is not wholesome, Tamsin wailed. Nothing wholesome starts with being hoisted like a sack of rice. You're a very cute sack of rice. Nico! Her feet kicked the air in frantic little bicycle motions. Okay, I said through clenched teeth. On 3, stop counting. I hate the counting. I pulled. She yelped, tail smacking the railing with a thwump. Nope, I panted. Not enough leverage. I told you, my thighs are too muscular. They're perfect thighs. Not right now, they're not. Another small crowd had begun forming. Someone actually pulled out popcorn. Popcorn. As if this were a street performance. I can't do this, Tamsin whispered dramatically. This is it. I will perish here. My ancestors will weep. You are not dying in front of the duck pond. I am. The obituary will be tragic and deeply confusing. I rested my forehead on her lower back for a moment, catching my breath. Okay. New plan. No more plans. Your plans always involve lifting me, pushing me, or shouting numbers. This plan has none of that. Promise? Promise. She sagged in relief. Okay. What is Plan D? Plan D, I said solemnly, involves lubrication. The park fell silent, dead silent. Even the ducks paused. Tamsin made a sound I didn't know a fox girl could make. It was somewhere between a gasp, a squeak, and a choking turkey noise. Nico, she hissed. Nico, what do you mean, lubrication? I held up a water bottle triumphantly. Hydration-based assistance. Her sigh of relief nearly knocked the railing loose. Oh, thank the moon. I thought you meant, Nico, stop laughing. I'll try, but you make it so easy. She groaned and pressed her forehead firmly to the railing again. Just do it before I die of social implosion. I splashed water along the sides of the bars, careful, controlled, perfectly mechanical. Unfortunately, the water dripped down her shirt, and then down further. Tamsin squealed. It's cold. Why is it cold? It's water, sweetheart. It feels illegal. It's literally water. Not when it's dripping there. It's not. Several teenage boys choked on their own laughter. I shooed them away with a glare sharp enough to cut steel. Move along, or I'm calling your mothers. They scattered instantly. Tamsin muttered into the railing. I'm moving out. I'm never leaving the apartment again. I'm going to live in a blanket fort and you can visit by appointment. You're adorable when you're dramatic. I am not. Ah, that was my rib. Okay, I said, repositioning myself. I think the water helped. Try sliding back slowly. She wriggled, very slowly. We both froze. She moved half an inch, an entire inch, then another. Her ears perked with hope. Nico, I'm actually... Suddenly her hips bumped a bar in a very compromising way, and she squeaked at a pitch only dogs should hear. I steadied her quickly. You're okay. Just ease up, not sideways. I don't know my directions. I'm hanging upside down like a broken piñata. You're not broken. I'm emotionally shattered. You're doing great, I assured her, guiding her hips gently. Just a little more. She slid almost 2 more inches backward, almost free. Her breath hitched. No, not allowed. Strike that. Her breath stopped, surprised. Nico, she whispered, voice trembling between panic and disbelief. I think this is working. It is, I said, pride warming my chest. You're doing amazing. Just one more. A breeze swept through the park, rustling her hair, sending her tail drifting sideways. And that's when I noticed the entire left side of her shirt had ridden up again. Tamsin, don't say it, she begged. Your shirt is... Don't say it. I pressed a hand over the exposed skin to help hold it down. She shivered. Nico, people already think many things, I said gently. But only I know you're the cutest disaster in this city. Her tail thumped lightly against my arm. With one final coordinated effort, her pushing, me lifting, there was a soft schlunk. Silence. Then, Nico, am I out? I looked, blinked, grinned. Her hips were free. Tamsin, I whispered dramatically, you have been reborn. She scrambled backward on instinct, straight into me. I caught her, arms wrapping around her torso as her ears pressed flat in a mixture of relief and mortification. She trembled a little. Not from fear. From adrenaline, from embarrassment. From the sudden, overwhelming relief of not being trapped in a railing while half the city watched. Oh gods, she breathed. Was I really just stuck like that, out there, in front of everyone? Yes, I said proudly, and you survived. She buried her face in my chest. Nico, I can never show my face here again. I kissed the top of her head. Sweetheart, after that performance, you own this park. She groaned into my shirt. And, I added, unable to help myself, for the record, that was the cutest thing I have ever seen. Her ears snapped up. Do not find that cute. I do. Stop finding it cute. Nope. You're impossible. You love me. She mumbled something muffled and resigned against my chest. Whatever it was, it definitely meant yes. Tamsin clung to me, still trembling, still refusing to lift her face from my chest as the crowd slowly dispersed. Some disappointed there was no grand finale. Some relieved the scandalous railing incident was over. I stroked her hair, smoothing it back from her flushed ears. You okay? No, she mumbled. Can you elaborate on the nature of the no? I will never recover socially. There is no recovering. I am a ghost now. You're dating a ghost. You're warm for a ghost. Shut up. I tightened my arms around her. Want to sit down? Drink some water? Not the water I used as engineering fluid. She shuddered. I can never look at water the same way again. But she let me guide her back to the bench, her steps shaky, tail dragging behind her like a deflated balloon. She flopped onto the seat with all the grace of a potato being dropped from waist height. I sat beside her, watching her rub her face dramatically. I can feel the embarrassment radiating off me, she groaned. People 3 counties away felt it. It wasn't that bad. People applauded when I got unstuck. Supportive applause. No, humiliation applause. I nudged her shoulder. Look at me. No. Tamsin. No. She stayed turned away, cheeks blazing. I gently hooked a finger under her chin and coaxed her face toward mine. Her eyes were huge, wet, mortified in a way that tugged at my chest. I made a scene, she whispered. A huge one. And you had to, your hands were on my everything, and everyone was staring, and someone definitely streamed it, and my tail puffed like a dying toaster fire, and the spiral was coming, the full meltdown. And then I kissed her. It wasn't a dramatic, dip her over backwards kiss. It was soft, warm, slow, the kind that tells someone, hey, you're safe, you're loved, you're not ridiculous to me. When I pulled back, she blinked, dazed. Why did you do that? Because you were about to panic so hard you'd turn into a small, collapsing star. I was not. Tam, I said gently, you're shaking. She looked down at her hands. They trembled like she'd stuck them into a soda machine. I'm fine, she insisted weakly. You're adorable, I corrected. Adorable is not a feeling I want right now. Too bad, I said. It's what you are. Her tail gave a tiny, traitorous wag. Then, unexpectedly, she laughed. A small sound at first, soft, breathless, fragile. Then another. Then a full giggle bubbled out, cracking through her embarrassment like sunlight through a fog bank. What? I asked, grinning automatically. What's so funny? You? She croaked, wiping her eyes. The way you looked when I was stuck. You were trying to be serious, but your face, looked like someone told you Christmas was canceled and you were determined to fix it. I snorted. I was determined to fix it. And, she added, laughing harder, you almost dropped me into the pond. That was one time. You lifted me like a forklift. I was gentle. You grunted like you were pulling a tree stump. The railing was antagonistic. She broke into bright, helpless laughter, full-bodied and alive, loud enough that a couple walking by smiled at the sound. I watched her, heart swelling as embarrassment melted into joy. Her ears perked, her tail rising again, fluff returning, her whole body loosening back into its normal, animated self. You're not upset anymore? I asked quietly. She wiped her eyes again. Oh, I'm still mortified. Don't get me wrong. I will be reliving that moment until I'm 80. But... She leaned into me, bumping her shoulder against mine. You made it okay? I wrapped an arm around her. Always. She swallowed, cheeks warming again, but not from embarrassment this time. Hey, she murmured. Nico? Yeah. Earlier, when you were helping me, you touched my... Sweetheart, I interrupted, mortified. I was trying to save you from being permanently installed as park furniture. I know. She bit her lip, eyes sparkling mischievously. But people definitely thought something else was happening. They did. And you... She poked my cheek. You didn't deny it fast enough. I was busy. Uh-huh. Before I could defend myself, a familiar voice called from across the path. Hey, you two. We both turned. A teenage girl jogged over, holding out her phone. Tamsin went rigid. Oh, gods. Oh, no. Please, no. But the girl wasn't filming. She was showing us a picture of Tamsin, mid-wiggle, mid-stuck, face contorted in surprised foxgirl horror. I got this photo when you were stuck, the girl chirped. Can I send it to you? You two were so cute, like comedy gold. Tamsin stared in horror. I stared in horror. The girl waited expectantly. And then... Tamsin grabbed my hand, hard. Nico, she whispered urgently, if you love me, if you truly love me, you will not let that picture hit the internet. I'm on it. I stood, trying to salvage dignity, or something like it. Miss, I said politely, I appreciate the enthusiasm, but could you please delete? Too late. The girl gasped. Oh my God. It got auto-backed up. Tamsin made the exact noise a dying soul might make. The girl looked panicked. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to. It just synced to my cloud, and my friend saw it, and she already sent it to our group chat, and then someone joked about making it a reaction meme, and... Tamsin swayed. I caught her shoulders. Oh, she whispered faintly. I am going to be famous in the worst possible way. Tamsin's pupils shrank into horrified little pinpoints. A meme, she whispered. Nico, I'm going to be a meme. I squeezed her shoulders. Not necessarily. The teenage girl winced. It kind of already is. My group chat is, very enthusiastic. Tamsin swayed again like a colonial widow hearing bad news. I stepped between them before she vaporized from shame. Okay, listen. No more sharing, no posting. Please just delete it everywhere you can. The girl nodded eagerly. Oh, yeah, totally. I would never post something embarrassing of someone who didn't want it online. I'll wipe it from my whole phone, promise. Thank you, Tamsin croaked, voice tiny. The girl hurried away. Tamsin sagged onto the bench again, burying her face in her hands. This is the end, she said flatly. I'm going to dig a burrow under the park and disappear. You don't burrow, I reminded her. I will learn. I sat beside her, gently prying her hands away from her face. You're not dying, you're not hiding, and you're not a meme. You don't know that. Sweetheart, trust me. The internet forgets everything in 3 hours. She stared at me like I'd just said something deeply naive. Not this. People love animals getting stuck, and I'm half animal and full stuck. Okay, point taken, I admitted. She groaned and leaned against me, limp as a defeated puppet. This is the worst day of my life. It's not. It is. It's not even the worst day this month. She paused. Okay, that's fair. The blender incident was worse. Exactly. She exhaled shakily. I'm still embarrassed. I know. The vulnerability hit me. Sharp, real, warm. There was a tremble in her voice she couldn't hide, the kind that only appeared when she felt completely exposed. I lifted her chin softly. You laughed earlier, I said. That's the part I'm holding on to. That was panic laughter. It was still adorable. She shoved me lightly. Stop calling everything adorable. But it is. It's not. That picture was not adorable. That picture was, honestly, I cut in gently. You were cute. Her mouth dropped. You're lying. Nope. You think me being wedged in a metal prison is cute? Yes. Her tail thumped weakly against the bench. Why are you like this? Because, I said, brushing her cheek. Nothing you do scares me away. Not your clumsiness, not your disasters, not the railing trying to eat you. She blinked hard, eyes going glossy. I know today felt humiliating, I continued, but all I saw was my girlfriend being her ridiculous, chaotic, wonderful self. Her throat bobbed. I don't feel wonderful. You are, though. She sniffed, rubbing her face. I thought I was supposed to be graceful, elegant, like my sisters. Grace is overrated. I like you. She stared at me, ears slowly lowering, not in shame, but in softness. Say that again, she whispered. I like you, I said, leaning closer. Exactly as you are. Her eyes fluttered. And, I added, I especially like your thighs, which nearly broke iron railings. She shoved me again, this time with a watery laugh. Stop, I'm trying to have a moment. Oh, I noticed. She pushed her forehead to mine, voice barely audible. You always make it okay. That's the job description of boyfriend. No, she whispered. That's you. The air shifted. Her hand slid up my chest, fingers curling gently into my shirt. Her tail brushed my leg, soft and slow. Her cheeks were still pink, but the embarrassment had melted into something else entirely. Warmth, affection, a spark of flirtation trying to resurface through the rubble of humiliation. Nico, she murmured, I need you to tell me one thing. Anything. She lifted her face until our noses barely touched. Was it really that cute? Even the angle? Even the everything? I grinned. I mean, there were definitely some views I appreciated. She gasped. Nico. But her tail wagged, strongly. Sweetheart, I murmured. You got stuck in a railing. Yes. But you also survived, made the entire park laugh, and somehow still looked adorable while doing it. She swatted my arm again. Stop calling that adorable. You keep wiggling your tail every time I say it. I do not. Her tail wagged harder. Tamsin. What? Your tail. She froze. No, she whispered. Yes. No, it's betrayal. It's disobedient. It has its own agenda. It likes hearing nice things about you. She covered her face again. I can't control it. It reacts to feelings. I hate it. I love it. She peeked through her fingers. Why? Because it tells me the truth, I said softly. Even when you won't. Her hand slid slowly from her face, and in that instant, her ears rose, her tail curled gently around my leg, and the fear in her eyes melted into something bright and tender. She didn't say it out loud. She didn't have to. Then a voice called across the pond. Hey, is she the fox girl who got stuck? Tamsin turned to stone, and very quietly, very calmly, she whispered, Nico, hold my hand before I run into traffic. I grabbed her hand instantly. You're not running anywhere. But they know, she hissed, tail fluffing so violently it smacked the bench. They know I'm the railing girl. Yes, I said calmly, because you were the railing girl. Don't call me that. It's temporary branding. She groaned into her palms again. I can't, Nico, I can't breathe. I'm going to combust. I'm going to explode into emotional confetti. A group of 3 college-age guys approached, one waving awkwardly. Oh no, she whispered. Oh no, oh no, oh no. The tallest guy smiled sheepishly. Hey, are you okay? We saw, your situation earlier. Tamsin curled into herself like a threatened armadillo. I squeezed her hand. She's fine, I said. Just a little stuck, and now a little overwhelmed. Another guy scratched the back of his neck. Right. We just wanted to say, respect, man. That looked like a workout. Tamsin choked. What? And you, The guy pointed at Tamsin delicately. You made it out like a champ. Her ears twitched. Champ? Yeah, you didn't scream half as much as any of us would have. Honestly, iconic. Iconic, she repeated, voice cracking. Totally iconic, the guy confirmed. Anyway, have a great day. They walked off. Tamsin stared at the empty air where they'd been. Iconic? She whispered, stunned. I bumped her shoulder. See, you've already got fans. I don't want fans. You have them anyway. She leaned into me, exasperated but smiling weakly. Nico, my butt was the main character of that disaster. And it performed beautifully. Stop. I raised a hand. I'm just stating facts. Her tail smacked my thigh. You are not helping. Disagree. She sighed, but rested her head on my shoulder. The adrenaline was fading, embarrassment softening into that vulnerable glow she got only after big feelings. I thought people would laugh at me, she murmured, or judge me, or call me a clumsy embarrassment. They didn't. She hesitated. Some did. Some might have, I admitted. But most, they were rooting for you. And honestly, the world could use more laughter. You gave them that today. Her ears twitched. I guess. Maybe. And anyway, I added, if anyone was staring, it's because you're gorgeous. She punched my arm, not hard, but hard enough that her embarrassment had officially shifted into flustered affection. You can't say things like that when I'm emotionally compromised. I absolutely can. Nico? I turned her face toward mine. Tamsin. Her cheeks deepened in color. You really don't think less of me? Of you? I laughed gently. Sweetheart, I think more of you. She blinked. How does getting stuck in a railing make you think more of me? Because you were terrified and humiliated and still tried your hardest to get free. Because you let me help you, even when it embarrassed you more. Because even when you panicked, you trusted me. Her eyes softened, lips parting slightly. And, I added with a grin, because you were extremely brave in the face of mortal peril. That railing was not mortal peril. It tried to absorb you. She snorted despite herself. Okay, fine. Maybe it was a little peril. A lot peril. A medium amount. The way you screamed. Don't, she warned, covering my mouth with her hand. I kissed her palm. She froze. Her hand trembled just a little. Then she slowly lowered it, cheeks glowing. You always know how to short-circuit me, she murmured. Perks of the job. She looked down at our intertwined fingers. Nico, can I be honest? Always. I hate being clumsy. Her voice wavered. I hate that I don't move like other fox women. I trip, I spill things, I break things. I get stuck between innocent metal bars. She swallowed tightly. I know it's funny. I know it's silly. But sometimes I look at other girls, graceful girls, and I wonder why I can't be like them. Her words hit me harder than the entire railing ordeal. Tamsin, I said quietly, look at me. She did. I didn't fall in love with a stereotype, I said. I fell in love with you. You're clumsy. You're chaotic. You're a walking hazard. And you're also funny, brave, loving, gorgeous, and so warm-hearted you practically glow. Her lips trembled. I don't want you to be graceful, I added. I want you to be happy. A quiet tear slid down her cheek. I brushed it away with my thumb. Then, without warning, she climbed into my lap, right there on the park bench, straddling me, arms looped around my neck, forehead pressing to mine. Nico, I adore you, she breathed. I adore you too. And? She whispered, eyes shining. And? I said, unable to stop smiling. I think your clumsiness is one of the best things about you. She groaned. Stop making it sweet. I kissed her. This one wasn't soft. It wasn't calming. It was warm and laughing and alive. The kind of kiss that melts embarrassment into affection and fear into joy. She made a tiny, surprised sound, then kissed back harder, tail sweeping wildly behind her. When we finally separated, she leaned back just enough to look at me. Nico? Yeah? If I get stuck again someday? You will. She thumped my chest. Okay, if, hypothetically. Will you help me again? I smirked. Sweetheart, helping you out of things is basically 90% of our relationship. And the other 10%? She asked softly. Cute kisses and questionable life choices. She laughed, wiping her eyes. Good. Because I'm about to try standing up, and there's a non-zero chance I'll fall off this bench. She rose. Her foot slipped on a pine cone. She pitched forward. I caught her instantly. She blinked up at me, breathless. About Nico? Yep. Please pretend that was graceful. Sweetheart, I said, pulling her close again. That was the most you thing I've ever seen. And for once, she didn't argue. We left the park slowly, mostly because Tamsin refused to walk at normal speed, convinced the universe would immediately smite her with another slapstick disaster. I kept her hand in mine, partly to reassure her, partly to prevent her from walking directly into any more inanimate objects that might try to claim her soul. Are you sure nobody else is filming? She muttered, peeking around me like a spooked woodland creature. Positive? I said. The incident is over. The railing has relinquished its prisoner. Stop calling it that, she groaned. I feel like I should send it a breakup message. I grinned. Dear railing, it's not you, it's my hips. She slapped my arm, lightly, lovingly. I hate you. You love me? She sighed theatrically. Tragically, yes. We passed the pond again, this time giving the railing a wide, respectful berth. She stared at it as though it might leap out and grab her like some kind of metal kraken. It's looking at me, she whispered. It does not have eyes. It has malicious energy. I squeezed her waist. You defeated it, remember? I didn't defeat anything. You pulled me out like a cork. A very cute cork, I added. She buried her face against my shoulder. If you keep calling today cute, I'll melt into the pavement. Then I'll carry you. No, you'll laugh while carrying me. Both can be true. A tiny smile tugged at the corner of her mouth. We stopped by a vendor selling slushies. Tamsin brightened immediately. The simplest joys were always her saving grace. I want cherry, she announced. You spill cherry every time. That's because you always make me laugh. Not my fault. She ordered anyway. Moments later, she was holding a bright red slushie like a sacred artifact. We sat on a smaller bench beneath the shade of an old, sprawling tree. Kids chased each other nearby. The breeze was gentle. And for a moment, everything felt peaceful in a way the day absolutely did not earn, but desperately needed. Tamsin took a sip. Her tongue turned neon red instantly. I nudged her. Feeling better? Slightly. 50% less mortified, 30% more hydrated, 10% craving vengeance. Against? She lifted the slushie like a toast. The railing. I laughed quietly, leaning back against the bench. She hesitated before asking, Nico, were you really not embarrassed? Even a little? Not even a little, I said honestly. I was focused on getting you out, and also trying not to laugh myself unconscious. She hid her flushing cheeks behind her cup. I knew it. But mostly, I added softly. I just wanted you to feel safe. Her ears slowly tilted back, shy, grateful, touched. You always make me feel safe. And you always make me laugh, I said. It's a good arrangement. Her tail brushed my ankle, deliberate this time. I don't try to make you laugh, you know. I know. That's why it works. She scooted just a bit closer, her thigh gently pressing against mine. I used to think my clumsiness was a flaw, something that made me less appealing, less vulpine. Not to me. She traced a small circle on my wrist with her claw tip. I know that now. A gentle warmth unfurled. Between us, not the flustered heat of earlier, but something softer, earned, deep. The kind of warmth that came after a crisis, when the adrenaline faded, but the closeness remained. Hey, I murmured. You did really well today. She raised an eyebrow. I did not do well. You survived, I said. You handled embarrassment, panic, gravity, physics, and public commentary. And you handled my butt, she added dryly. I handled it very responsibly. You cupped it like an artisan shaping clay. I was stabilizing leverage. You were enjoying leverage. She had me there. She leaned her head against my shoulder with a quiet little sigh. Thanks for not running away screaming. Not a chance. For not teasing me too much. I teased you exactly the correct amount. And, she whispered, voice softening, for making me feel loved even when I felt ridiculous. I turned my head just enough to kiss the top of hers. Always. We sat like that for a long while, her sipping her slushie, me just soaking in the warmth of her against my side. Eventually, she nudged me. Hey. Yes? So, hypothetically, if someone did post the photo, I'll challenge them to a duel. With what weapon? My sheer willpower. She snorted. Okay. But what if it gets passed around? What if people see it? I considered this. Then, sweetheart, people see Fox girls all the time. Nobody sees you the way I do. She blinked. How do you see me? I took her hand. Like the girl who makes my whole life brighter, I said, even when she's stuck in a railing. Her breath caught, soft, emotional. She pressed her forehead to my shoulder. Nico, don't make me cry again. Can't help it, I said. You're cute when you cry. I'm cute when I'm humiliated, apparently. You're cute always. She covered her face with her tail. Stop, I'm going to combust again. I wrapped an arm around her, tail and all, gently pulling her closer. Good thing I'm fireproof. She peeked out. Are you really? No, I admitted. But I'd risk it. Her ears drooped, not from embarrassment, but from affection so full it softened every sharp edge in her expression. Nico? Yeah, she whispered, almost shy. Will you walk me home? Of course. And hold my hand the whole way? Always. She squeezed my hand. And for the first time since the great railing incident of this afternoon, she smiled without a trace of embarrassment. Just love. We left the park under the drifting orange glow of late afternoon, walking slowly. Partly because Tamsin wanted to savor whatever fragile shreds of dignity she had left. Partly because I kept slowing down to enjoy the way her fingers curled through mine. Her tail swayed behind her, back to its usual loose rhythm. A good sign. The trauma had officially downgraded from life-ruining horror to something she would complain about for the next decade. Nico, she murmured, nudging my arm. Yeah? If that picture does survive somewhere out there, like in some obscure group chat or cursed meme folder, yes. Does it bother you that people might have seen me like that? I squeezed her hand gently. Not even a little. Really? Really? You were panicking. I was helping. It was just a moment, and honestly, I smirked. I'm kind of proud of how hard I worked getting you unstuck. That railing put up a fight. She groaned into her hands again. Nico, stop giving the railing character development. It was a worthy opponent. It was metal tubing, and it almost overwhelmed me. It did not. It almost did. She puffed her cheeks and bumped me with her shoulder. You're impossible. And you love me. She refused to answer, but her tail brushed lightly against my calf in a little affectionate sweep that gave her away completely. We turned down the quiet street toward our apartment. Evening light caught the new bracelet around her wrist, making the tiny fox charm gleam. She noticed me looking and raised it with a small, shy smile. You know, this really helped today. I arched a brow. The bracelet helped you escape the railing? No, you did. She lifted our joined hands. But this reminded me that you wanted me there, with you, even when I make everything a disaster. That wasn't a disaster, I said gently. That was an adventure. She gave me a deadpan stare. I hate that you mean that. But you like that I mean it. Maybe a tiny little bit. We reached the staircase up to our building. Tamsin stopped at the bottom, looking up the steps like they were a mountain she wasn't confident she could climb without slipping and reenacting her humiliation on the evening news. Nico. Yes? I need you to promise me something. Anything. If I trip on these stairs, she said solemnly, you are catching me in a heroic, dramatic swoop. None of this stumble and hope for the best stuff. I always catch you. Heroically. I can do heroic. She narrowed her eyes. Promise. I promise. Satisfied, she took the first step. Immediately, her foot caught the next one. Whoa! I caught her around the waist before she could even gasp, pulling her gently against my chest. She landed neatly in my arms, hair falling forward, ears flicking in surprise. She blinked up at me. Did you just actually do the dramatic swoop? I did, I said. You semi-demanded it. A soft blush spread across her cheeks. Okay, but that was kind of romantic. I carried her up the next step just to prove a point. Nico, she squeaked, tail fluffing. Put me down. Heroically? No, regular putting down. I set her back on her feet, laughing. She swatted my arm and muttered something about me being reckless with her heart, which I took as a compliment. Inside our apartment, she immediately flopped onto the couch, face down, tail drifting lazily back and forth. I sat beside her and traced a hand between her shoulder blades, feeling the tension melt out of her. After a long moment, she rolled onto her side and looked at me. Really looked at me. Soft, vulnerable, eyes shimmering with something warm that had nothing to do with embarrassment or fear. Nico? Yeah. Today was awful. Yeah. And I was so scared you'd think less of me. Never. And you helped me, and stayed, and made me laugh, and made the whole day feel like we were in it together. We were. She took a breath. Then she lifted her hand, the bracelet catching the light again. So, I want to give you something too. I blinked. Oh. She nodded, cheeks warming with that shy glow I adored. Then she sat up, leaned forward, and pressed a small, soft kiss just under my jaw, right at the warm spot she knew made my heart skip. This, she whispered, is your gift. I swallowed. I like my gift. You get more gifts if you stay with me forever, she murmured. Well, I said, trying not to grin like an idiot. I'm not planning on going anywhere. She shifted into my lap, fingers curling in my shirt, her tail wrapping gently around my waist. Good, she breathed, because I'm not either. She kissed me again, slow, lingering, the kind of kiss that tasted like relief and affection and too much cherry slushy. When she finally pulled back, she whispered. Thank you. For loving me when I'm graceful, and when I'm stuck in metal bars. I brushed a thumb across her cheek. Sweetheart, I think you're perfect exactly as you are. Her eyes sparkled with emotion and mischief. Even when I fall on my face tomorrow morning, I'll kiss the bruise. When I spill cereal everywhere, I'll help you clean up. When I get stuck in another railing someday, I smiled, I'll free you. She leaned her forehead to mine. Then, I guess I'm yours. And I'm yours, I murmured. A comfortable silence wrapped around us like a blanket. Then quietly she asked, Nico, can we go back to that park again next weekend? I raised a brow. Even after everything? She nodded. Yeah, I think I want to show the railing who's boss. I laughed. You want revenge? No, she said with a shy smile. I want to make new memories with you, ones where I don't get stuck. I kissed her gently. We'll make as many as you want. She curled against my chest, tail tucked warmly around us both. And just before drifting into a cozy, sleepy purr, she whispered, but maybe let's bring butter. You know, just in case. The future, it seemed, was going to be chaotic and absolutely perfect. If you enjoyed this chaotic love story, make sure to subscribe for more heartwarming human fox girl adventures.